Hello and welcome to another YouTube video here on this channel. Today I have a lot of note-taking apps you can choose from. Today I am covering 59 note-taking apps which you can choose from when you are choosing a note-taking app, and I'm going to divide these into Liberian, gardening, marketing and student apps. Librarians tend to save a lot of information, especially for their projects. Gardener tends to have exploratory uh, a more exploratory way of looking at their notes, with just taking different notes and seeing how they can connect together. Architects want to build their own note-taking workflow, and the last one, students, they don't bend towards any of them. And we will just jump right into it with the first one, and this one is called Evernote. And Evernote is probably familiar for most people. It is a great note taker. It is quite expensive right now, but you can do a lot with Evernote. It is easy to use, it works with notebooks, and is overall a great app. Then we have Microsoft OneNote, and OneNote is mostly used for people who are studying or in a work environment where they use the Microsoft system. It is integrated into the Microsoft system, which is good if you have an Outlook mail, if your company or the company you work for uses Office 365. This seamlessly integrates to all of the apps. Overall, a great app. I have used this a lot, especially for work. Right now I only use it to store my bullet journal entries because it has OCR, just like Evernote. It works in a similar way with different notebooks. Then you can have different sections and pages inside of your notebook, and OneNote is a great option, especially if you're used to using Microsoft. Then we have Upnote, and Upnote is probably one of the cheapest ones out there. It costs around $1 each month or $30 for a lifetime plan. I have only used this with my phone, but it is a great app, quite similar to something like Evernote, and it is probably the best budget option out there for something like Evernote. It is available offline, it syncs well, it is just overall a great looking app and really easy to use. It has to-do management as well, and as you can see, it evolves around notebooks, so this is a great option if you like the notebook style of note-taking. Then we have something called Google Keep, which is basically Google's note-taking app, and here you can easily take notes. It has sort of a Pinterest view of your notes, so if you like to see your notes more visually, so let's do a test note. You will have the notes here and they will stack up inside of here, and you can look into them. It is a great app. It fits seamlessly into the Google ecosystem. So if you're a Vivid Google user, this is probably one of the best options out there. It isn't as versatile as some of the other apps, but it is really easy to use. So if you're just looking for a way to take quick notes and you want to be able to find them later by searching for them or just looking for them, this is an easy to use note-taking app that will get you started. Then we have Milanote, which takes a more visual approach to note-taking. You can put a lot of different things into Milanote's boards, and you can drag lines between them. It is more like a whiteboarding app, and I have seen a lot of people use this and they love using it. It looks a little bit like this, and it is just overall a great looking app. It looks really pretty, it is quite easy to use, and this is better for people who like to have a more visual approach to their note taking and want to save a lot of notes visually inside of different boards. This is probably one of the best options out there, and we will get more back to visual note takers later in this video, but this is probably the best option for librarians when it comes to a visual note taker. Then we have My Mind, which takes just like Milanote, a visual approach to note taking. This is probably a blend between Google Keep and more of a Pinterest. Even though I said Google Keep looks a lot like Pinterest, this looks even more like Pinterest. You can easily take notes. It uses AI to help tag all of your notes. It has great search, so here you're relying more on the search than many other note-taking apps. You can easily store things into spaces, but it doesn't work too well. I've tried it. The best way to find something inside of my mind is probably through search. It has a serendipity feature as well, where you can make your different notes resurface so you can review them, and this is probably a great option for people who want to store a lot of pictures, a lot of designs, PDFs, especially design work. I do a lot of design work, and this app came in clutch when I was doing a lot of my designs in my previous job. So this is probably good for that. I've tested out to-do lists inside of here as well, but it doesn't do the best job at covering your to-dos, but it is a really good note taker, and it tags things, as I said, and you can also add your own tags if you wanted to. Then we have the Bullet app, and this is just a list maker, but it runs on the bullet journal method, so you have the same interface as you would have in a physical bullet journal. You can create different lists, and you can put things from your inbox into your different lists. It has tags as well, which is a premium feature, I believe. But the premium is quite cheap. It comes in around $3 each month. So this is a great option if you just want to take short bullet point notes and you want to store them into different lists. Easy to use, easy to learn, no big learning curve, and just a great cheap option. Then we have Trello, which is more used like a project management or to-do list application, but it is actually really good for note-taking as well. It is a quite underrated tool. You can actually take notes in the description. You can write comments, you can add pictures and just have a more visual view of your notes. You can store things into different boards. It isn't necessarily the best note taker out there, but it is possible to use this as a note taking app as well. It has search, so you can search through your different things if you ever need to find something, but it gives you a way to look at your notes more visually and is a great option for people who like visual note taking and like Kanban board views. Then you can use something like Trello. Then we have Bangle.io. I haven't actually tested out this app yet, but it looks like an interesting app. It has it uses Markdown and you can link to your different notes. So if you're used to something like Obsidian, Logseq, where you can link different notes together, this is a great option. It uses Markdown, it works offline, it is fully open source, so this is a great option if privacy, for example, is something you care a lot about. It has different ways of organizing your notes, both folders and tags and workspaces. You have backlinking, as I said. It looks like an interesting option. I haven't tested it out yet. I am probably going to, but this looks like a great option if privacy is something you care about, and it looks a lot like something like Obsidian and probably a big Obsidian contender. Then we have something called MyReach, and MyReach is also a really interesting application. It wants to use AI to store and resurface all of your notes or PDFs, saved tweets, and so on. You can have different workspaces. I have a few here. You can save your mobile contacts inside of here. It has a visualizer, which is basically a graph view where you can link different things together. It has a board view and even a map view. It uses cards, lists, and it has a chat where you can ask it questions and get answers from inside of your notes. So basically a chat GPT for your own mind. What I've learned with these kinds of note-taking app is that you have to put a lot of things into it before you can actually see the benefits of having an app like this. It is still early in its development. There is still a lot that needs to be done, but this is an interesting option for a second brain or note-taking app. Then we have an app called Blokes. This is also a new one. Here you can store your to-dos and your notes. This does a really good job at transcribing your meeting notes. So if you're a person who is in a lot of different meetings, this is probably a good option for you. You can easily start the transcription when you start a meeting, especially a digital meeting. This works really well. I have a few of them myself, and you can get all of your notes and it transcribes using AI, and it also uses AI to tag all of your notes. But again, you will have to use search and tags a lot to find your different things, because they will just be stored inside the app. There's no other organization than tags. You don't get any folders, you don't get a lot of backlinking opportunities. There isn't much organization to this, but it is a really cool app. It looks exciting, and it is good for people who take a lot of meeting notes, and it is still really early in its development, so it will be exciting to see how this app continues to develop. Then we have Nimbus Notes, which is another great option for Evernote users who want to switch. This is simply one of the best note-taking apps out there. It has been around for quite a while. You can create notes inside of folders. I actually like a folder structure, to be honest. It has databases, spreadsheets, and tables. You can organize and share your notes. You can capture your notes. You can clip your notes. This is just a great note-taking app if you want something easy to use and just a reliable way of taking your notes. Then I recommend something like Nimbus Notes. As I said, it is quite similar to something like Evernote, and it is quite easy to use. This is one of the apps I haven't tested out a lot, but I have tried it out and it works great. Then we have Zoho Notebooks, another note-taking app that evolves around notebooks. It is another app I have tried out a little bit. Works great, easy to use, and it is just good for people who like to store things into different notebooks and want an easy way to use the app. It is quite similar to something like Evernote or UpNote, and it is a great choice if you're looking for an easy to use note-taking app that evolves around notebooks. Then we have Effie, and Effie is another one of the new note-taking apps. You have mind mapping inside of here as well. You can take your notes. It has an inbox feature, which I really like. It works on all of your devices. Another app I haven't tried out too much, but I like the idea of having mind maps into a note-taking app just to develop different ideas. So another great option you should try out and see if you like. It looks interesting, it is quite new, and I'm again excited to see how this will develop. Then we have Joplin, another great note-taking app. I have seen this been used a lot by people who do a lot of programming and coding, so this might be one of the best options out there for that. It can be used for other things as well, to-dos, note-taking, and overall one of my favorite apps on this list. It has been around for quite a while. It is quite easy to use. You can just get it and start using it. No big learning curve. A lot of the apps in here has a learning curve to them, but this is actually quite easy to use, and it does a great job at capturing a variety of media and text. Then we have Acronym. I think it's pronounced that way. I haven't tried this one out either, but it looks like Obsidian as well with the folders. It doesn't work with tags, I think. I haven't tried this out too much. It works with tags as well. It has both tags and folders, so it uses both of them. I haven't, as I said, tested out the app, but this is more developed for people who are developers and do a lot of coding. This is probably a great option for those people. I will never understand code and I will never do any coding, so this probably isn't the best app out there for my use case, but it has tags and calendar as well, so you can use it as a full-on productivity app and not just a note-taking app. So this could be an architect app as well, but I will store it inside of Liberian just because I feel like it fits great into or for librarians, but a lot of these apps can be used in different ways. But this is Acronym, and it is a newer option that you can try out and see if you like. Then we have Notesnook, which really looks like Evernote and is a great Evernote option. You can see it with the green at the plus sign and the green around here. It is quite familiar for Evernote users. It is open source, end-to-end encrypted and private. It uses tags as well as notebooks to store all of your notes, and it has been a really hyped product lately. So I would recommend trying this out if you are looking for a more private focused or privacy focused Evernote. This is one of your best options, and it works on all different devices, and it also has a web clipper, which is great. Then we have Chunk Notes, which is another one of the apps that has been around for a while. This is again one of the best options on the list. It has been around. It has a lot of features. A graph view, which it calls all notes. You can open different notes together. It is just an easy to use and amazing app. It does a lot of the same as things like Obsidian and Logseek would do, but I just like how the app looks, and this again a great option for people who are looking for an easier to use note-taking app. And if you're looking for an all-in-one solution, this might also be a great choice, but there are better all-in-one apps on this list. Then we have Heptabase, and this is the first of the gardening apps. This is actually the app I'm using to make this video. This is one of the more visual apps, so you can use this to make mind maps. You can use this to put things into whiteboard, quite similar to something like Miro. It has tags and databases as well if you're into that kind of stuff. I'm personally not too into databases, but I use them a little bit. As you can see, different whiteboards with different cards inside of your whiteboards. Then we have Scrintle, which is quite similar to Heptabase, boards with cards inside of boards. It uses tags as well. You can store all of your cards, all of your boards inside of here. A great option. It is still early in its development. It is on an early access plan, so I'm on the early access plan. I love this app. I think it's quite fast. It is quite easy to use and learn, and I just like having different whiteboards. I like a visual approach to note taking, and if you're into a visual approach, Heptabase or Scrintl is probably one of your best choices, and both Heptabase as well as Scrintl have backlinking, and that's why they are on the gardening list. Then we have Supernotes, and I wasn't sure if this would fit into the Liberian or the gardening category the best, but it works in both of them. It has a graph view, and it is probably the best app out there for students because it is easy to share your notes with your friends, with your coworkers, or basically it is easy to share your notes, and it works with cards, and you can have different cards that is shown as a list or a board. It has great search and great searching filters as well, and I tried this app out for a couple of months, and it is a fun note-taking app to use. I like the idea of cards. It uses Markdown, so if you're familiar with Markdown, this is probably a great app for you. But if you're not, you need to spend a little bit of time learning Markdown. It has a cheat sheet on the app, but it goes much faster if you are familiar with Markdown. Another great option, especially for people who are studying or need to share a lot of notes. Then we have Readwise, and Readwise is mostly used as a way to get your notes into another note-taking app, but it can be used to take notes on different books and articles as well by highlighting and taking notes and tagging, and it also does a great job of resurfacing your notes. You get an email, I think it's every day. I got a lot of emails from Readwise when I was using it, but you can get your highlights, store them into Readwise, resurface them, and revisit them later. So this is an option. It also has tags as well as good search. So this is an option for note-taking if you highlight a lot of articles and ebooks. Then we have Mem AI, and Mem is another one of the AI apps out there. It wants to use AI to organize all of your notes, and honestly, it does a good job. It also has a new chat feature, which is quite similar to MyReach and the chat feature MyReach has, where you can ask the chat a question and it will find an answer based on your notes. Again, you need to have a lot of notes inside of here for it to work properly, but it is a good choice for people who are quite busy and don't want to spend any time actually organizing their notes. This is probably the best option I have found for AI organization, if not the only option, but it has a few problems. I would recommend trying it out and seeing whether or not you like it, but I loved this app when I was using it. Then we have Reflect Notes, which is a easier to use version of something like Obsidian. So if you're looking for something like Obsidian and you want something that is a lot easier to use without giving up a lot of the feature set, this is probably a great option. You can organize your things inside of tags and find them later. It has great search, it has daily notes, and it actually has GPT-4 integrated into the app and does a great job of integrating AI into the app. Then we have Napkin Notes, and Napkin is also another one of these AI apps. It uses AI to tag a lot of your notes, which are basically cards on an infinite canvas, and it connects your different ideas together. So this is great for people who have a lot of ideas and want to see how everything is connected. Again, this app works a lot better if you have a lot of notes inside of them. It has a serendipity feature as well, and I'm really excited about Napkin Notes and how this app will develop, but as of right now, it is a great choice if you have a lot of small, compact notes you want to put inside of them and see how everything is linked together. Then we have Workflowy, and Workflowy is an outliner where you can have bullet points inside of different bullet points, and it is basically just an outliner, so people who take a lot of bullet point notes and take a lot of small, just takes a lot of small notes and like the idea of bullet points, this is a great app out there. It is one of the best outliners out there on the market right now. You can also get Kanban boards, but this is really easy to use. It took me a couple of minutes to figure out how the app works, and great option for people who want to use an outliner. Then we have Bullet IQ. This is still in early access, so there are still a lot of development to be done, but this uses AI just like Mem to try and connect your different notes together. So I'm really excited about this one. I haven't been able to get access to it yet, but I like the idea of having AI resurfacing all of your notes and having basically a chat GPT for your mind. So this again looks like an exciting app. I've yet to test it out, but I will do a video on it as soon as I have been able to test this out. Ample Note is also a great option for people who just want to take notes. Ample Note revolves around its to-dos and to make your ideas actually become actions. So you can easily jot down an idea and put it into a to-do and schedule it into your calendar. So it revolves around the idea execution funnel, but it is also a great simple note taker where you can tag your notes, you can link different notes together with bank linking, and again, great option, easy to use. This is one of my favorite note-taking apps, especially for beginners. Then we have an app that is only available for iPad and Macs, so the iOS ecosystem, but it is quite similar to something like Scrintol or Heptabase. This is more of a visual tool, and another app I haven't tested out that much. I've tried it a couple of times, but it evolves around boards and you can put different things into your different boards. So if you use a Mac and an iPad a lot, or even an iPhone, this is a great app to try out. I have saved the best ones for last, and Obsidian is the best note-taking app on this list. It has a learning curve to it, and that's simply why I don't use it. I tend to spend more time organizing my notes and fixing my workflow rather than actually taking notes if I get the option. But it has the best features, it is the best app, it is the perfect note-taking app, so if you aren't like me, Obsidian is the best option for you. Backlinking and different ways of organizing, graph view, it has everything you are looking for, even canvases. So if you just want a reliable note-taking app to stay with almost forever, then Obsidian is your choice. Logsec is another outliner, just like Workflowy. It is quite similar to Obsidian as well. Both Obsidian and Logsec are privacy focused apps, and the only problem I have with both of these apps is that there is a huge learning curve to it. But if if you're willing to learn all of the different features, then there aren't better choices out there for outlining than Logsec and Obsidian. But again, huge learning curve. Roam Research, another great application. It looks a lot like Logsec. It is an outliner as well. It does a great job at capturing and organizing and linking your notes together. It has a little bit of a learning curve, but less than something like Logsec and Obsidian. So if you want a lot of the feature set with less learning curve, Roam Research is a great app. It has been around for a while. It is a reliable note-taking app, and a lot of people use it to do research and connect different ideas together. I had Athens Research on my list as well. This was a open source version of Roam Research, but it is now gone. It doesn't exist anymore, so we are down to 59 note taking apps. The same happened with Clover. I was planning to have Clover inside of this as well, but Clover is also gone. Then we have RemNote, which is just like SuperNote, an app that is best for students. This is a great note-taking app, but it is probably best for people who are studying. It has a flashcard feature, which is amazing, so you can learn things easier. So if you are someone out there studying and want to learn your different ideas and the different things from school, I would recommend RemNote or SuperNote, but it works as a great note-taking app as well. But I would say that it is better for people who are studying or taking a lot of courses and want to learn things more easily. Then we have the architect apps, and we are starting off with the most famous one, the most used one. This is called Notion. Notion evolves around databases, so if you're into databases, this is the best app in the list. But it is a great way of taking notes and building a lot of different workflows. So I have used this app a lot, and I have a lot of different workflows. I have made it as pretty as I can. You can actually store your whole life, everything from a calendar to a to-do list to your notes inside of Notion. And it is actually quite easy to find different things inside of here as well. The next one on my list is Craft, and Craft is a great alternative to Notion. It doesn't have the same database features as Notion, but it does a good job of taking notes and writing longer documents and making them pretty. It stores things into different folders, and it has both backlinking and you can block link as well, so you can link to a specific block inside of the document. I tried this app for a while and I liked it a lot just because it looks really pretty and it works quite well on an iPad and an iPhone, and they are developing quite quickly as well. Then we have Tooth, which is an app I have been loving and making a lot of videos on lately. This is basically a list maker. You can have lists inside of here, and you can actually, just like Notion, store everything inside of here, everything from to-dos to calendar events. It does a great job at storing everything. It also has a review feature where you can review all of your different notes. Or different lists. This is actually developing quite fast. It has an amazing community, and it is one of my favorite productivity apps out there. So if you haven't tried out Tooz yet, please do try it out, and I have a lot of videos on it on my channel for you to watch. Then we have AnyType, and AnyType is a privacy-focused version of Notion. Imagine Notion and Obsidian having a baby. That's AnyType for you. It has a graph view, it works around databases, as well, which it calls Sets. This app, just like Obsidian, Notion, and Logseq, has a lot of learning curve to it, and it uses different words and expressions. So a database isn't a database, it is a set. A property isn't a property, it is a relation, and it takes time to actually understand and get into all of these expressions, and it just has a learning curve to it, and you need to spend time actually learning the app. I have a video on learning any type of fundamentals you can check out, and I actually like the app, but it is still really early in its development. It is actually still in beta, so it will probably take a while before I could recommend this as your go-to note-taking app. I am personally not using this as my daily note-taking app any longer. Then we have ClickUp, which is actually a project management app, but it has note-taking capabilities as well. It isn't the best note-taker on this app or the best note taker at all. It has tags, and you can organize things into tags, or you can organize them into different boards or spaces. It is called spaces inside of ClickUp. This is a great option for people who take light notes and connect their notes into different projects and want a note-taking ability inside of their project management, and I would recommend something like ClickUp. Another new note-taking app that has been gaining a lot of hype is called Capacities, and Capacities is object-based note-taking app, so it evolves around objects just like AnyType does. AnyType also evolves around objects, but Capacities has been gaining a lot of hype because it is a really good and exciting app, and you can actually, I got logged off, but you can actually do a lot with this app, and you can easily build your own workflows and design the app exactly how you want to. Then we have Tana, another great note-taking app, another new note-taking app that has been gaining a lot of hype, a note-taking app I can't understand no matter what I do, so there is a learning curve to this. It is an outliner, but it has databases as well, just like Notion, but its databases is quite familiar to Heptabase, which I showed earlier, because it evolves around tags and what they call super tags. So if you're into databases and you like outlining and you want an all-in-one solution, Tana is another great option. Then we have Xtiles, which is a new note-taking app that has been gaining some hype. This is a more visual note-taking app, so you can create different cards and you can jump into your different cards. You can build an entire workflow out of this app. It looks really cool. This is actually my Kanban board, which I made myself. I'm really excited about this app. It takes a lot of time to set up. It has some templates, but I haven't been liking the templates. But you can easily build your different cards and write things inside of them and just make your own entire workflow. Walling is another app I used for a while. This is also a more visual team-focused note-taking app. It is great for designers, and you can build your own workflows inside of here as well with Kanban boards. It has OCR, so you can search for your pictures. You can take notes inside of here. It has to-dos. It has everything you need in a note-taking app, and it looks really pretty. That's why I chose it, because it looks really pretty. And it is a great option for people who do a lot of design work. Then we have Taskade, which is another project management app, but this is actually an underutilized tool because it is really good, but people aren't using it as much. I haven't found many YouTube videos on this app, so I'm making my own quite soon. But it is a project management app or an outliner, and I've liked the app. It looks really cool. It is great to use with a team. I've tested this out with a team, but it has a learning curve to it. It took me quite some time to understand how this app works, but it has everything you need from managing your to-dos, taking notes. It has mind mapping, calendar, as well as boards. So this is a great option for people who want to take notes regarding their projects and want to have everything in the same place, their to-dos, their notes, their calendar. This is a great option. So I would say this is a competitor to something like ClickUp. Then we have Microsoft Loop, which is Microsoft's version of something like Notion with databases. I have tried it out. It isn't close to Notion yet, so I'm excited to see where this goes. This works best for teams, companies who are already integrated into the Microsoft ecosystem, but because it works great with your SharePoint and your OneDrive, and you can drag different files into this. The databases work, but they still have a lot of work that needs to be done before they catch up to something like Notion. They recently introduced Copilot into this, so they are developing it, and it will be exciting to see where Microsoft Loop is headed. So AppFlow is an open source alternative to something like Notion. It looks interesting. I haven't been able to test it out because you have to download it through GitHub, and I am not technical enough to understand how this works, but I am going to figure it out and do a video on it later. But it is an open source version of Notion, so it looks like Notion. It isn't as good, but it does a lot of things quite well. It has a calendar, which, for example, AnyType doesn't have yet. It does Kanban boards, and it is an option to look into if you are a bit more on the technical side. Then we have Apple Notes, and Apple Notes is quite familiar for everyone who has been using an iPhone. Another iOS app, Agenda Notes. I really want to try out this app because it looks like an all-in-one solution for your to-dos, your calendar, just everything in the same place, as well as your notes and tasks. It looks really beautiful. I've heard that it is quite easy to use, but it is only available on iOS devices, and I use a Windows PC. So if you're using iOS devices, this is a great all-in-one solution that is really easy to use for all of your productivity, including your notes. Then we have Noteplan 3, another one of the iOS apps. It is also an app I really want to test out. It uses Markdown. You can link your notes together using bidirectional links, and it also has daily notes where you can plan your day. Another great option if you're a Mac or an iOS user. Standard Notes is the best option for someone who uses an Android phone and want to use Apple Notes. Easy to use app, not much fuzz about it. It is just an easy to use app where you can put all of your notes. Then we have an app called Personal AI, and this is, as it says, a personal AI. You can create your own AI, and it is great for storing a lot of information into the AI and be able to retrieve them later by asking the AI questions. So it is really interesting. I haven't used this app too much lately because it is still in its early development and there are a lot of fixes that needs to be done, but you could put your notes into here and ask AI to retrieve them later. Another great outliner is called Dynalist. Easy to use outliner. It is quite similar to Workflowy. There isn't much more to be said. It is an outliner, so if you're looking for an outliner, if you're a writer, for example, this will be a great option. Then we have another app for the iPad. This is called Moleskine Flow, and this is for drawing or writing things. So if you're a more creative person who wants to draw a lot or take handwritten notes on the iPad, then Moleskine Flow is a great option. This is a part of the Moleskine suite, and Moleskine also makes great notebooks, physical notebooks. Bear Notes is an iOS app that is really easy to use, has great organizations inside of it, and many people love this app. It is a great Evernote alternative if you are on the iOS devices. I have tested it out on my iPhone, but not extensively, but it is really easy to use and it uses Markdown. So again, if you're familiar with Markdown, this is a great option. Simple Note is a great option for people who are on Android and Windows devices, but want to use Apple Notes. This works on the iOS as well, and it is quite similar to Apple Notes, really easy to use and a light note taker. Good Notes is another great option if you're into using Apple Pens or styluses. It works on the Windows device as well. I have been testing it out. My sister actually uses this app every single day and pays for it, and she is loving the app and how it works and just the ability to be creative inside of your notes. So if you want to take physical notes digitally, basically, if you want a physical notebook into your iPad, this is probably the best choice out there. Another app for the stylus users out there. This is great for students, just like the last app we talked about. You can take your notes, your physical notes on your iPad and easily search through them later. You can also record and replace your notes, and it is really easy to share notes inside of this as well. So that's, I think it's 59 note-taking apps you can choose from. I haven't gone too in depth because the video would become way too long. If you have any apps you want me to do an in-depth review on, comment down below. I have done some in-depth reviews on the apps that are on this list already, so please do check out the channel, subscribe, and I hope to see you again quite soon.